Today in History. And now it's time for our daily journey to the past once again.
Yeah, that's right. And we have two events to share with our listeners today. But first, here is a quiz question for you. In literature, a novel belongs to the category of prose, while a poem belongs to, number one, poetry, or number two, pottery. The question again. In literature, a novel belongs to the category of prose, while a poem belongs to, number one, poetry, or number two, pottery. If you know the answer, you can put it on our Bandi board or text in on your cell phone, pounder sharp 1045 for 50 or 101, depending on the length of your text. And the prize this time is a 외식 상품권.
So today we're going to be discussing two main events that have happened on this day in the past.
Today in history. In 1605, Don Quixote was first published, and in 1903, poet Kim Yeong-nang was born.
1605년 1월 16일 바로 돈 키호테가 처음으로 출간된 날이고요. 1903년 1월 16일은 김영랑 시인이 태어난 날입니다.
All right, so today we take a look at the work and lives of two great figures in Spanish and Korean literature, and we start in Madrid, Spain.
Okay, and that's exactly where one of the world's most influential works of literature was published on this very day in 1605 by none other than Miguel de Cervantes.
Of course, we are talking about the ingenious gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha, or as it is more commonly known, simply Don Quixote.
The famous story follows Quixote, an elderly man who becomes so obsessed with old stories of brave knights that he decides to take up his own quest.
The book became the world's first bestseller and has been translated into more than 60 different languages.
In fact, in 2002, the World Library, a list of the 100 best books composed by 100 writers from all around the world, named Don Quixote the best literary work ever written.
Yes, Don Quixote and his adventures have come to be one of the most representative cultural assets of Spain globally, with copies of the novel having sold more than 500 million copies worldwide.
Okay, interesting. Don Quixote, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so now let's go to a place a little closer to us right here in our own country.
It was on this day in 1903 when one of the most renowned Korean poets was born in Gangjin, South Jeolla Province.
Originally named Kim Yoon-sik, I'm sorry, he is today known by his pen name Kim Yeong-nang, by which he published his works.
Heavily influenced by Western authors such as William Butler Yeats and Paul Verlaine, Kim Yeong-nang took part in a group of poets in 1930, launching the review Shimunhak on March 5th of the same year.
Well, by the year 1935, he combined the 36 poems he had published in the review with 17 unpublished poems to produce his first collection, Yeong-nang 시집, or Yeong-nang's poems.
Very nice. Well, by the end of his short but admirable and patriotic life, he left behind 86 poems and 15 prose pieces. Later, the house where he and his family had lived in Gangjin was restored as a memorial, as well as designated as a national cultural asset.
That's right. Well, indisputably, Kim Yeong-nang played an outstanding role in the development of modern Korean poetry. Well, he was known for writing in the unique Jeolla dialect, with his most famous work being until peonies or peonies bloom, or 모란이 피기까지는.
Very
as
nice.
we're showing on the point in radio right there.
Yeah, lovely.
네.
Well, two great writers today that were discussed in Today in History. That's going to do it. But before we wrap it up, the answer to the quiz question. In literature, a novel belongs to the category of prose, while a poem belongs to, and the answer is number one, poetry.
Poetry.
That's it for Today in History. We'll be back with more on Monday from the past.